amazing how well a little stove like this heats this thing, because I mean, while parts of the greenhouse are insulated, it's mainly just a bunch of windows in here, which I mean are very poor insulation as it is. The only caveat really is nighttime. If that fire goes out, it gets really cold in here really quick. So we're running this quartz heater throughout the nighttime. On the coldest nights, if it's like -15, the greenhouse gets down to about 5 degrees Celsius, which is perfectly fine for nighttime temperatures for anything that we're going to have growing in here right now. These little wireless thermometers are awesome. These things, you can set a little alarm on here, and if it gets too cool in here, it's just a matter of coming out, getting that fire going, cranking up the electric heat, anything like that that you might need to do to save your plants. Something that I should point out about the greenhouse in its current state is that last summer I disconnected the solar power from this greenhouse. Every intention of hooking it back up again, but I needed a lot of that stuff to run the pumps out of Lake Inferior for the main garden area down there as well as the hoop house. So things will get set up in here within the next week or two with solar again, but for the time being I'm just running electric from the house out here to the greenhouse.
Now that's a first. Butterfly in the middle of the winter. Sorry, guy. Maybe you can go back to sleep.
It's the middle of January already, folks. This is amazing. Favorite time of year. It's time to start planting. And we have already started planting a few things out here, namely our lettuce and our radishes. This is just so that we can have some fresh produce coming soon. They want us all to stay home. So, if you can grow your own food, that's going to keep you home more often than not. Things are a little more organized now in the greenhouse here. Got a small bed put in. A bit of a potting table over here. Wood stove is working out great for us. It's -6 degrees outside and 20 degrees in here. Beautiful. We put in this little shelving unit. All it is 2x4s and some old fencing that we had. It holds about a dozen of these trays, which is a decent start, but we'll need to double that at some point for the amount of stuff that we start for the spring. And then we have these 4 75-watt each LED shop lights. Very simple little lights, but they do work great. The shop lights are running off this timer. So I only have this coming on for a couple of hours in the morning and a couple of hours in the evening when the sun goes down, just to give a little bit of extra light in here. On this side, I've planted a bunch of radish, and on this side, a bunch of varieties of lettuce. With the lettuce, I just planted some of our favorite romaine lettuce. This is from seeds saved from last year. And the radishes are just from saved seeds that we had. I think they were called Scarlet Globe radish. I'm not entirely sure. I can't quite remember. It's just another mixed bag of seeds. Just have this thermometer going just so that I can kind of keep an eye on the soil temperatures in here, because that's going to be a big thing for germinating. Bunch of trays all ready to go here. These 72 cell hex trays are the preferred trays that we use starting things here on the Wilderstead. They take up very little space. They have nice deep cells, and they're just perfect for getting your little seedlings started. We pre-filled these trays with screened potting soil. We like to screen our soil just so there aren't huge chunks of peat moss or sticks or bark or anything like that that might be present in the soil that also will potentially slow down root growth with your seedlings. You don't really want anything impeding those roots when they're trying to grow. So it's time to get these peppers planted. Find the easiest thing to do. You can either poke holes like this to start with and drop your seeds in, or you can just take your seeds, Set them on top of the soil and poke them in. This is actually some sweet red peppers from Jason over at Start From Seed Homestead. We grew these out last year, saved a bunch of seed, now we're growing them again. Have a few left to keep in the seed bank. Now you can just poke these in there. Peppers, you don't have to go too deep. 1/4 inch or so is usually good. Using one of these little hammer drill attachments makes it easy to know the depth that you're going. Plant some more of these Baker Creek jalapeno peppers. Again, we grew a bunch of these last year. Really nice pepper. They got really big. A lot of the peppers were 4 or 5 inches long. And they made some delicious coyote crack. Or as most other folks like to call it, cowboy candy. But due to its addictive properties around here, we refer to it as coyote crack. I also have some saved seed from this Baker Creek stuff that we grew last year, so I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison to see how these seeds ended up coming out after being grown for a year up here. So I'll have to remember to label this tray as the original seeds, the original seed pack that we got. And some water. Mason jar, holes in the top, pretty simple. Stick the tray up here for now. The majority of these seeds that we're starting today are actually going to go into the house in our little seed starting area in there, aside from a few that we will keep out here, just to see what the difference between germinating out here is versus in the house under lights. Cayenne. This is seed stock from cayenne pepper seeds that we have been growing for a number of years. Started growing these in southern Ontario 5 or 6 years ago. Grew them in Manitoba for a couple of years, and now we've had success growing them here. And every year they seem to just get a little bit better at maturing and ripening just a little bit earlier than the last year. These cayenne peppers make an amazing fermented hot pepper sauce. We make it every year, just delicious. The perfect amount of sweetness, a lot of heat, and a lot of tanginess just from that fermented process. If you haven't tried fermented hot sauce, it's definitely something you should check out if you like hot sauce. Get some yellow bell planted too. More of our saved seeds. Saving seeds, folks, one of the best things that you can do out of your garden. When that sun comes out, it really heats up in here quickly. 24.2 degrees in here suddenly. Not complaining at all. These are the kind of temperatures you want for growing your food in the winter. And more water. Another plant you can start nice and early that takes a long time to grow is celery. Now the question mark, that's just because I don't know where this seed actually came from, but I do know it's celery because I've grown it. So we're going to plant this a little bit differently. I'm going to start off by getting this wet. Here comes that sun again. Okay, once that's wet, off my hands so I don't have seeds sticking to them. These seeds are just so tiny, so tiny. So all I'm going to do is sprinkle a couple of seeds into each cell, just like that. These tiny seeds are just annoying to work with. You can see how small these seeds are. They're just tiny little things, and there's anywhere from say 2 to about 5 seeds per cell in here. Getting down to the bottom of the bag there. That's not good. I'm gonna have to source some more of these seeds. Once you have your little celery seeds sitting on top of the soil, we're just going to take some of this screened soil, the same stuff that is in the trays already, and we're just going to sprinkle it on top of each cell, just to cover the seeds up. Just barely. Kind of like what you might do with lettuce or something like that. And then we'll just kind of go along and gently pack that loose soil down. You don't want to pack it down too tightly. Just enough to give it some stability there. Going to also get some lavender planted. We are planning on growing a pretty large patch of lavender here. We planted some last year. It grew great. I have no idea yet if it overwintered though, but because it grew so nicely, I'm just going to get a full tray of lavender planted. This is going to get planted in the same way that I did the celery seeds, because much like the celery seeds, lavender seeds are just very tiny. We'll get the last seeds of asparagus that we have planted. We're trying to get a nice patch of these started to grow. Started 20 or 30 of them last year from seed, which grew quite nicely. So we're going to carry on this year. Get some of the first broccoli seeds in. This will allow us to put some of the broccoli down in the hoop house nice and early this year. It was nice to get all of these trays planted out here in the greenhouse and keep all the dirt and soil mess out here. However, most of these trays are coming into the house and they'll be going into our little seed starting closet that we have set up inside. It's much warmer in there at night, so I think that's going to make a huge difference. But this stuff here, I'm going to keep outside. The heat mat underneath there. This is celery and lavender in this tray. I also have a tray of celery and lavender that's going to go in the house. We'll see which one sprouts quickest, and we'll see if germinating and starting these two varieties of plants outside makes a big difference. Can I do this next year? We don't know yet.
What's going on here?
Huh?
What's going on here?
I guess it's time for the inspection. Goats! Yeah, you don't want to get too close to that. It is nice and warm though, isn't it? Okay, see you later. What are you doing?
Feeding goats.
Oh. Okay, Orca. You see over here? Okay, so the soil temperature, it's kind of hard to see on here, but it's about 15 degrees Celsius, Orca. That should be enough to sprout some stuff for you, okay? This is our little seed starting spot that we have in the house. Just room for 4 trays. The same lights that we have outside, 4 75-watt LED shop lights. Works great for us. So we're sitting at about 22 degrees inside here, minus 10 degrees outside. Just going to shut this off for a second. Just have the blower running to move the air around in here, nice warm air. So these are going to shut off soon, automatically, with the timer up there. Soil temperature is, looks like about 12 or 13 degrees. It's not too bad. That's it for now, folks.